In January 1980, federal agents dragged garbage bags stuffed with cash out of the ceiling panels of Studio 54, ending a systematic skimming scheme that hid millions of dollars from the tax authority. The venue had captured the world's attention, yet its owners were headed to federal prison for 3.5 years. What the public did not realize was that this desperate skimming was a symptom of an unforgiving economic math that still kills 70% of nightlife businesses within their first 24 months. For every dollar that crosses a nightclub bar, up to 95 cents goes straight back into keeping the doors open. Behind the velvet ropes and the flashing strobe lights lies a financial engine that consumes cash at a terrifying rate. To open even a modest venue, an operator has to write checks for hundreds of thousands of dollars before a single customer buys a drink. Most of that money disappears into things the customer will never notice, like acoustic treatments to keep the sound from leaking through the walls or liquor licenses that cost more than a family house. Yet, even the most successful clubs in the world, like the multi-million-dollar venues in Las Vegas, operate on profit margins that would make a supermarket owner nervous. In 2022, the famous Tao Group reported $485 million in revenue across its portfolio of high-end venues, yet its operating income was just $37 million. That is an operating margin of only 7.6%. When a single bad night can cost $10,000 in lost revenue, that margin leaves almost no room for error. For many aspiring owners, the appeal is obvious. They see the long lines wrapped around the block on a warm Friday night. They hear the thumping bass and watch bartenders sling high-margin drinks at a rate of 4 or 5 per minute. It looks like the ultimate cash machine where you get paid to host the party. People imagine themselves standing in the VIP section, greeting local celebrities, and watching the money pour in. The fantasy is built on the concept of instant cash flow and cultural influence. Under this version of reality, a club is a license to print money while living the high life. But the reality of running a nightclub is not a party. It is a grinding, high-stress logistics operation where you manage hundreds of intoxicated people while trying to prevent your staff from stealing you blind. This dream of easy wealth quickly evaporates when the first major bills arrive. You are suddenly forced to confront a stack of invoices for things you never considered, from grease trap cleaning to music licensing fees. Glamour is replaced by 80-hour work weeks filled with regulatory paperwork, staff drama, and physical maintenance. Every morning starts with counting cash drawers and checking security footage to see if your bartenders were giving away free drinks to their friends. Getting a nightclub off the ground requires an enormous amount of upfront capital. A standard startup budget for a small to mid-sized venue ranges from $250,000 to over $1 million. If you are aiming for a prime location in a major market like New York or Los Angeles, that number can easily climb past $3 million. Demolishing and rebuilding the space is often the biggest drain on your capital. You are not just buying tables and chairs, you are constructing an entertainment infrastructure. A professional sound and lighting package is non-negotiable if you want to compete. Creating a true nightclub environment requires systems that cost between $80,000 and $250,000. That includes high-output speakers, subwoofers, lighting rigs, and digital processing units. Then there is the acoustic treatment. Without proper soundproofing panels and diffusers, which can cost anywhere from $5,000 to $20,000, the sound will leak into neighboring buildings. Such sound leakage leads to immediate city code violations and noise complaints that can shut you down. Next comes the bar build-out. Constructing a commercial bar setup with underbar sinks, ice bins, speed rails, and draft beer lines can run another $30,000 to $70,000. Designers must also be paid to create a premium atmosphere. Paint, custom seating, VIP booths, and flooring can eat up $100,000 to $300,000, and all of this must be built inside a leased commercial space. Landlords in prime entertainment districts typically demand 3 to 6 months of rent as a security deposit. At $15,000 a month, that is an immediate $45,000 to $90,000 gone before you even begin demolition. Then you have to secure a liquor license. Across some states like New York, the government fees are relatively modest, ranging from $4,300 to $10,000 annually. But in quota states like California, where the number of licenses is strictly capped by population, you have to buy a license from an existing owner on the secondary market. Within Los Angeles or San Francisco, a full liquor license can cost anywhere from $50,000 to $400,000. Without it, your nightclub cannot legally sell spirits, which destroys your business model before you open. Finally, you need starting inventory and working capital. Stocking the bar with premium liquor, mixers, glassware, and uniforms costs about $20,000 to $40,000. Reserves of at least $75,000 to $125,000 in cash are needed to cover operating losses during the first few months while you build a crowd. Lacking this buffer, a few slow weekends at the start will force you into bankruptcy. Many eager owners put all their money into the design and sound system, leaving nothing in the bank to pay the staff when the doors open. Most of them assume the door cover will immediately pay the bills. This is a fatal assumption. You must also handle a maze of local regulations and safety codes before you are allowed to open. A commercial fire sprinkler system upgrade can easily add $50,000 to your build-out cost if the building is not up to code. City inspectors will check your occupancy limits, exit signage, and handicap accessibility, forcing you to make expensive repairs if anything is non-compliant. You also need a high-end security camera system with at least 32 cameras covering every angle of the bar, entryways, and cash drawers. A professional camera setup with digital video recorders costs about $10,000 to $15,000, but it is essential for defending against fraudulent slip and fall claims. Fake injury lawsuits are a common hazard in this industry, and without video proof, your insurance rates will skyrocket. Finding the money to fund a nightclub is one of the hardest hurdles for any operator. Traditional commercial banks almost never lend money to start-up nightclubs. Lenders look at the high failure rates and view the industry as far too risky. If you try to get a standard small business administration loan, you will face intense scrutiny. Guarantees are required by the agency, meaning you must pledge your home or other assets as collateral. Should the club fail, the government can seize your personal property to pay off the debt. To avoid this, most operators turn to private investors. These operators raise capital from friends, family, or wealthy patrons who want to own a piece of a trendy venue. Private investor money comes with heavy strings attached. Equity partners typically demand a significant share of the profits, often up to 50% or more until their initial investment is fully repaid. Partners may also demand a say in how the club is run, which can lead to destructive conflicts over theme, music, and door policy. Another financing route is equipment leasing. Instead of buying sound systems, ice machines, and point-of-sale terminals outright, you lease them. While this lowers your upfront startup costs, it adds to your monthly fixed overhead. Leasing payments of $3,000 a month for a $150,000 sound and lighting package can easily add up. As a result, you start every month deep in the red before you even turn on the lights. Some owners try to cut corners by renting low-grade systems or buying used gear. Unfortunately, used audio equipment frequently blows out during high-volume sets, leaving you with a silent dance floor and a room full of angry guests. One silent hour can cost thousands in lost bar sales and ruin your reputation. So you pay the premium and you take on the debt. When operators run out of capital during construction, they often turn to high-interest alternative financing. Merchant cash advances, which draw repayments directly from your daily credit card sales, can carry interest rates equivalent to 40% or more. This creates a dangerous debt trap that drains your daily revenue before you can pay your staff or your rent. If you cannot keep up with the payments, the lenders can freeze your bank accounts and force an immediate closure. Once the doors are open, the monthly overhead becomes a relentless cash drain. First, there is the rent. Rent in prime entertainment districts of major cities can easily run $25,000 to $50,000 a month. Even in smaller markets, you will struggle to find a suitable commercial space for less than $10,000 a month. Unlike a retail store, you cannot make up for high rent by operating all day. Venues are only open and earning revenue for about 10 to 12 hours a week, usually on Friday and Saturday nights. Your rent per operational hour is therefore astronomically high. Next is the cost of security. Safety cannot be maintained without a professional security team. Bouncers in the United States typically earn between $12 and $25 an hour. Employing 8 bouncers for a 6-hour shift on a Friday and Saturday night costs about $1,000 to $2,000 every weekend in payroll. And security is not just about wages. Owners also have to pay for workers' compensation and assault and battery liability insurance. Because of the high risk of altercations, nightclub insurance is notoriously expensive. Full insurance packages including liquor liability and general liability can cost between $20,000 and $50,000 a year. Monthly payments of nearly $4,000 go toward protecting yourself from lawsuits. Entertainment budgets add another layer of expense. Local resident talent will cost between $150 and $800 per night. Booking a well-known touring DJ or performer to draw a crowd can easily exceed $10,000 for a single set. Operators are also responsible for their travel, hotel, and technical requirements. Finally, you must pay promoters to bring people through the door. Promoters are the lifeblood of a new club, but they are expensive. These individuals typically demand a commission of 7 to 15% of table sales, plus a flat fee per person they bring into the venue. Some high-level promoters even demand a percentage of the total bar revenue for the nights they host. When you add up rent, payroll, insurance, talent, and promoters, a typical mid-sized club needs about $50,000 to $100,000 a month just to cover its fixed costs. Electricity bills add to the burden, with the massive electrical draw of your sound and lighting rig costing $3,000 a month. Trash removal and grease trap cleaning add another $1,000. Legal fees are another constant drain because you must constantly defend your licenses and handle disputes. Such financial treadmills never stop, even if your club is completely empty. Credit card processing fees are another silent profit killer. Since almost all premium customers pay with credit cards, a venue doing $100,000 a week in sales will pay about $3,000 a week just to process transactions. Then there are the charges for ASCAP and BMI licenses, which grant you the legal right to play copyrighted music in your venue. These licensing organizations monitor clubs and will sue you for hundreds of thousands of dollars if you play their music without paying the annual fees, which can run $5,000 to $15,000. Even trash disposal is a major expense because nightclubs generate tons of glass bottles and food waste every weekend. Private trash contractor services will charge about $2,000 a month to haul away your refuse in a dense urban area. Surviving these massive overhead costs requires extreme profit margin. Selling alcohol is the primary driver of these margins. Standard well drinks made with cheap liquor and soda have a gross profit margin of about 80%. Buying a keg of domestic beer for $40 can yield over $300 in sales. True profitability in the nightlife industry is driven by VIP bottle service. Clubs mark up bottles of spirits by 800% to over 1,000% in this department. Wholesale premium vodka that costs the club $40 is sold to a VP table for $400 to $800. Across high-end markets like Las Vegas or Miami, that same bottle can cost $1,500 or more. Customers are not paying for the liquid itself, they are paying for the social status. Included in the bottle service package is a reserved table in a prime location, expedited entry past the long lines outside, and a dedicated server. Operators successfully bundle low-cost goods with high-value experiences through this model. One table booking can cover the entire cost of the security staff for the night. Another source of revenue is the door cover charge. Charging $20 to $50 per person just to enter the venue provides pure profit that goes straight to the bottom line. Bringing in 500 people on a Saturday night generates $10,000 to $25,000 in cash from the cover charge alone. Coat check and valet parking are other minor but high-margin cash generators. Every coat checked at $5 per item adds up when you host thousands of guests a month. Small fees help offset the high cost of credit card processing, which can eat up 3% of your total sales. To secure these high-value guests, clubs implement minimum spend requirements for their VP tables. A table in a prime location might carry a $2,000 minimum, meaning the guests must buy at least that much in alcohol and mixers during their stay. If they only drink $1,500 worth of alcohol, they are still charged the full $2,000. This ensures a high floor of revenue for the most desirable real estate in the venue. Even if the rest of the club is quiet, a few high-spending tables can guarantee that the night is profitable. With such extreme markups, you might think nightclub owners are swimming in profit. Real net profit margins are often surprisingly thin. While a healthy club might target a net margin of 20 to 30%, many venues operate closer to 5% after all expenses are paid. Shrinkage is the main culprit behind these thin margins. Within the bar and restaurant industry, the average venue experiences a 20 to 23% loss of its alcohol inventory to waste, overpouring, and theft. Bartenders frequently give away free drinks to secure larger tips, pocket cash from unrecorded sales, or pour too much liquor into each glass. Internal employee theft is estimated to account for about 4% of total sales, which can wipe out a significant portion of your net margin. Preventing this requires successful owners to run forensic inventory audits and track every drop of liquor down to the ounce. Even with perfect controls, you are still vulnerable to the extreme volatility of the business. Nightclubs are trend-dependent ventures that rely on a constant stream of young, high-spending customers. Should a newer, trendier club open down the street, your crowd can disappear overnight. Suddenly, you are paying Vegas rent and booking expensive DJs for a half-empty room. Poor attendance for a single month can wipe out a whole year of profits and push you into a cash flow crisis. Extreme volatility explains why even massive operators struggle to maintain high profit margin. Disclosures by Madison Square Garden Entertainment regarding the financials of Tao Group Hospitality in their SEC filings shocked the industry. During the fiscal year 2022, the group generated a massive $485 million in revenue. After accounting for rent, labor, food and beverage costs, and corporate overhead, their operating income was only $37 million. Operating profit of this size equates to a margin of only 7.6% for one of the most successful nightlife brands in the world. With the most prominent player in the space operating on such a tight margin, a single location owner has almost no margin for error. Nightclub ownership is ultimately a high-risk, low-margin gamble with a very short shelf life. Statistics show that the average lifespan of a nightclub is under 3 years, with 70% of venues failing within their first 24 months. Failure occurs not just because of the high costs, but because of the extreme volatility of consumer taste. Nightlife venues are fashion products, and like all fashion products, they have an expiration date. Patrons who make you trendy this year will move on to the next new venue next year. Staying relevant forces owners to constantly reinvest their profits into expensive renovations and rebranding efforts, essentially paying to build a new business every few years. Successful long-term operators are not the ones who love to party. Survivors in this industry treat the venue as a spreadsheet business, watching every penny and managing every cost. Experienced managers understand that the high markup on a bottle of vodka is not a reward, but a necessary cushion to cover the massive costs of rent, security, insurance, and promoters. Lacking strict controls, that markup will be swallowed by staff theft, high overhead, and empty weekdays. Average investors will find that a nightclub is more likely to be a cash bonfire than a cash cow. Savings accumulated over a lifetime can vanish in a single season of bad turnouts. Looking at the long line outside a trendy venue, remember the garbage bags of cash in the ceiling of Studio 54. Skimming was not a sign of excess wealth for those owners, it was a desperate attempt to outrun the math of the business before it closed in on them.